G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff. Relationship burnout. Men are tired. Though much of the cultural conversation is focused on women and their frustrations, the fact is, it's men who are walking away with the feeling that the relationship is not worth the cost. Men are feeling exhausted for many reasons. However, a driving factor is the consistent feeling of being taken advantage of. That men put in the financial and physical effort in return for the lack of emotion, the lack of reciprocated interest, and no long-term investment. They cannot see a future around this person. No matter how hard they try, they are realizing the relationship is purely transactional and one-sided. Is it any wonder men are burnt out and done? I personally think 4B and many other movements, and the reason for radical feminism, is that women are not done controlling men. These women who join radical organizations do so to hurt others. They have no interest or desire beyond inflicting pain on others as a means of expressing their disappointment that they cannot get what they want. And what they want is based on fantasies, television shows, dramas, books. They've been sold a lie and they want the lie. Heck, recently I saw an article on the culture surrounding the film industry, and they know and they have rules in place that they are selling a lie, but they have to double down on the lie. They have to have, in order to succeed in Hollywood, they have to have such a crafted persona. Their real identities, their real desires, their real ambitions don't exist. That they exist, that the actors and actresses exist to serve Hollywood and its attention machine. And its attention machine is getting boys and girls hooked on Hollywood. The drama, the merchandise, and the whole point is to have, once they're hooked, is to have them forever supporting Hollywood and their gluttonous lifestyle. We've allowed actors and actresses to hijack a culture, to package it and sell it back to us after it's been diluted, curated, pureed, politicized, and manipulated. And it's creating the idea in modern relationships that you can have it all. Before I continue, I'd like to remind you that this channel is sponsored by you, the viewing audience. That's Empire Valves, that's one word, empirevalves.myshopify.com, your one-stop shop for enchanting treasures based on my writing. Beautiful ceramic cups, but there is also some porcelain mugs, some travel mugs, some stainless steel water bottles. I got posters and other products as well, and more to come. Relationship burnout happens for in many ways, and many reasons behind it. Often, however, one partner is indifferent. One partner believes that she is entitled to effort, endless effort, to prove love, and that she has the right to test this love, and that every single time you have to prove you love her without condition. That means going without any form of reciprocations, often having to put up with her indifference, her infidelity, her cold receptions at times. Another problem is endless chasing. Instead of achieving comfort and a comfortable relationship, the man is endlessly pursuing and wooing her, having to provide gifts, meals, and other special treatment in order for her to even stay in the relationship. But there is no reciprocation. Emotional exhaustion. Now, this often happens with women. Men do need an emotional anchor, but if a man is trying to constantly drive the relationship, it's frustrating when there's not even a peck on the cheek, a touch of the hand, any affection. Without regular affection, there is no relationship. But women often withhold relationship if they don't get their way. So there is no equality in the relationship. It is purely fiction. In her eyes, you have to meet the perfect relationship. And because she doesn't know what one is, she bases that on whatever fiction or TV show or drama or, in her life that is driving her fantasies. Most women's fantasies are external, not internal goals or desires, which is corrupting relationships around the world, where increasingly married women feel that they're trapped rather than protected, that they're controlled rather than reciprocating for the so. And where does this come from? Well, it's not expressed. It's although sometimes it is. It's the dramas they watch. It's the born again relationships they read it where woman gets divorced and finds love in a new town, and they think that this is exciting and they want excitement, excitement, excitement. So they go from drama to drama, daily basis, looking for excitement. They watch these TV shows where they see the female protagonists go from victory to victory, job promotions, perfect husband, wooed by young adorable men, the increasingly popular sexual fantasies where women explode with and gush at every touch, and it's just envy. Emotional. The relationship fatigue starts with envy, where women envy the lifestyles of the rich and famous, which are carefully curated, public drip fed. They are always claiming that the ultimate relationship, when it's all acting. They're acting. They're only together for the mutual benefit. And increasingly, even actors are waking up and going, it's fatiguing. It's driving them to fatigue. And but in some cases, the partner's passive because she's using you. She's not there out of genuine interest. She's only there with the expectations that you are going to love and cater to her no matter what. And often they take the relationship for granted and withhold affection, deliberately create drama, often deliberately driving the drama to the point of ending the relationship, because the goal of her because her goal is not the relationship but the resources the state affords her for the prize of having a relationship. Now, the whole point of divorce and alimony was so that the state wouldn't have to take care of all these women, because divorce was climbing, going through the roof. So they tried to stop. Instead of making divorce harder, they made it easier, because the state suddenly realized that they could profit off the divorce industry. So instead of navigating and resolving conflict, men are walking away. And that's not because we don't have the tools or the means or the understanding. Once upon a time, we would have resolved conflicts. We would have fought to stay in the relationship. But the relationship is giving us not only no return on investment, it's making us poorer, it's shortening our lives, it's sucking all the joy out of life. And even the sound of her laughter is not uplifting, because it is a recognition that she's not laughing out in joy, she's laughing out, well, and she's enjoying, sorry, but you know what I mean, right? It's not righteous joy, it is, ha ha ha, I've hurt you again, ha ha ha. Yeah, it's enjoyment of your misery. Men can solve relationships. Men can provide the best relationships they can. Women are driven by their paranoia and fears without realizing that they create the enemy. They create the problems. There is rarely any issue in a relationship where, other than, most damaged men come from damaged homes, damaged relationships, raised by single mothers, abused by women. Okay? Women are failing to understand that there is no good outcome for them. Divorced women, single women, they just struggle through life, and they always try with the cope and see this, I'm strong and independent. Well, let's see you do without the state. I don't see you strong and independent. I see you begging the state all the time for free healthcare, free housing, now free food. You now want free utilities. cost of living is too high. Instead of reducing the cost of living, you're driving it up by demanding free stuff to be taken care of without reciprocating anything to the state, not even contributing a child or two to the state. And single mothers, most men don't want single mothers because you have a history of use and abuse and shirking responsibility. See, basically, you're unfaithful, and men are done, and men are stereotyping women, and that's because, well, the large body of available women and is decreasing. Right, there's no longer a large body of stable, emotionally mature women who want to get married, want to stay married, want to have children, and want to contribute to the household, and want to shed themselves of their toxic friends. No, we have women increasingly wanting to go out and enjoy themselves, and we've seen this with already in the 50s and 60s with the movies about Dear John. Look it up. There's a whole genre of Dear John movies that didn't mock and ridicule women. It ended up celebrating women walking away from their husbands while they were at war and enjoying themselves in nightclubs. Women don't understand that, and do end up getting tired of most women end up getting tired of the frivolous, uh, endless, well, they think it's an endless summer, but they know loud music. They can just sit there. They can't enjoy it. Eventually, it's a facade. You're convincing yourself you're having fun. Most normal people, when they go to a you stay away from these venues, and then you go once, and then you go, I don't see why is everybody, this ain't fun. It's just boom, 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 boom. And that's when you're mature. You're no longer interested in the frivolous, the empty, the facade. They don't realize that entertainment has co-opted culture and turned it from celebration into, you pay us money and we don't care about you. All we want is a joyous life, but however, we also understand that takes work and hard work. These days, a single man in a single room apartment can thrive and survive. Most men are still somewhat considered middle class. Women are increasingly falling into the lower classes because they are self-destructive. And they're self-destructive because they are indoctrinated by feminism to focus on the negative, to focus on self, to focus on giving, taking, not giving, to expect a certain standard when that standard they can't even define. And of course, if you define it on happiness, you don't understand that each year it gets longer and harder to be happy. You get used to you watch the same comedy over and over again, and you get bored. So yes, I can understand why women might get bored if the relationship's always the same, but that's not the point of the relationship. It's mutual support, not mutual entertainment. See, we've so overvalued entertainment. And here I am as a writer, right, struggling, yes, not because I lack talent, but because I lack value to the majority of society. So the majority of society doesn't value writers, let alone men. And even if I took a more popular genre than science fantasy, they're all the genres. Women are increasingly getting to the point where they'll only buy from other women. They've been so indoctrinated by it. Feminism is so toxic, and it's hurting other women. It's all about women hurting other women so they can have more for themselves. Jane Fonda and all these other rich women, they have their families, they have their wealth, and they're deceiving you into thinking that you can't buy wealth. You can't buy happiness. You earn it. You work for it. And if the majority work for it, then you have a large middle class, and the upper classes don't like that. They literally thrive on greed. Not all of them, but I'm saying the purpose of the upper class is to literally own wealth, not to work for wealth, but to own it and possess it and continue it and perpetuate from generation to generation. Now, you get those who want to destroy generational wealth purposely through wealth tax, and that's just greed. That's just tearing others down. But that's what feminism has become. Crabs in a bucket. When one tries to escape, the others pull it back in. When I was a kid, I didn't understand this. When I was a kid, put a fish in a basket. Suspend the fish above the basket. The crab will go into the basket and just sit there with his claw up, looking at the fish. Now, if you reach in and try to grab the crab, it'll swim away. But if you pull up the basket with the fish above the crab's still in the pot holding it. You just empty the pot into the into the bottom of the boat and step on the crab, and hey, I didn't understand why it was just too easy. Now I understand that if the lure, the crab, right, is so lured by the idea of the big fish being there free and available to it, that it just wait for it to drop down onto it rather than go out and find one. And that's what happens with women. They are so, they can see the TV, they can see the movie star, and they're just there hoping the movie star, the rock star, the news anchor, and yes, sometimes the author is going to land on them, and they're just going to live endless summers of excitement and thrills and parties and ha ha ha. And yet, even amongst the upper classes, the haughtiness, it's all a facade. The reason why these actors and actresses stay together so long, and same with a lot of rich people, is they understand the game. And that the facade it's all the facade. Everyone puts on a facade, everyone ha-ha-has, and everyone tee-hee-hees, and they all dance the motion, and they all put up with the garbage, each other's garbage until they can't. Not everyone reaches the breaking point, though, and not everyone, and sometimes even the most grandiose attention seeker becomes a very private person once the spotlight's off, because they want to preserve. They realize that they don't want to burn it out. They realize that if they try to live the endless summer themselves, it's a burnout. It's why you see people in paradise walking around as if it's ordinary, because to them it is. It's like surfers who live on the beach. First day, they're racing out, race to the beach, jump in the water, swim around, and they wonder where everybody is. So people on the beach, well, don't go to the beach every day. It's uh, full of tourists and people who don't appreciate and understand what they have. There's more to life than the beach. Sometimes the best meals are the quiet meals. Not where everyone is looking, but it's the one you cooked for someone and watching them enjoy your meal. But women have forgotten the simple pleasures in life because feminism has drip fed them nothing but greed and envy for the last 75 years. There was a time when there was a need for rights, but men fought for and won human rights, and feminism doesn't know what to do with itself anymore. It's not needed. It's like the soup kitchen in a time of thriving, which is why California doesn't allow people to thrive. Otherwise, it's soup kitchen grift. Where $1 million for a soup kitchen. You know, where the CEO's getting $400,000 to make soup. Yeah. And what's he do? He hires minimum wage workers to dole out their soup, and they can't afford the cost of living. So they end up having to take home most of the soup for themselves and their families. So they feed the illegals. They have the illegals work their gardens and clean the street for less than minimum wage, because if they paid a decent wage, it would cost them their wealth, and they can't have that. And their entire grift is to bill the taxpayer as much as they can get. So the cities, they drive up the cost of living, deliberately beyond the means of the majority, to keep the majority poor and trapped. And they constantly promise that fish above you and the crabs. They just keep reaching for it. They know and pull that lever because they don't want someone else to get that fish. They want to get that fish for themselves. That's why there's so much anger at Elon, because he stood up, grabbed the fish, worked out how to make more fish, and yeah, and providing services, whether you like it or not, or use it or not. But that is, the way life is. It comes, it keeps coming. The years don't stop coming. And if you don't get out of your own way, if you don't stop reaching for that fish you'll never have, and it's like 20 years ago, this video would have probably been about men reaching for the actress, the model, envying the old man with the supercar, getting all the young ladies stepping into it. Now, where are those old men? Right? They're not getting the young ladies anymore. The young ladies are selling their flesh and owning those supercars. Most of the old men are fleeced before they get to the point of being able to own a supercar. So there's no point in warning old men about supermodels. It's too late. You can't save them. There is so much hatred of men online, and it's tolerated because without that, because social media doesn't exist for communication. exists to spread information. And it's up to you if you're going to engage in the positive or the negative. But I implore you, right, beware still, right? Because as times get more desperate, those OnlyFans girls are only going to increase. They're only going to spam you more. There's no point, right? Just warning you. There's no point, right? A lot of them are now not even real women. They're AI Indians. Increasing number of Indian men with middle class, or at least doctoral, even some doctoral thesis students are sitting there in university labs creating artificial female models, studying OnlyFans, and getting ChatGPT to mimic uh, the best OnlyFans models. And OnlyFans is letting some in Ukraine and India and Pakistan all, but the average Western guy, don't try that. They get you banned because OnlyFans doesn't exist to to for a service to the West. It exists so that Ukraine can siphon money off the West. I mean, the whole country. That's why they they love India. They love China. They love all these. They don't hate us. They're not our friends. So the next time you see a headline, she's not high maintenance. You know, they talk about high maintenance women. I'm not going to call most women high maintenance. That's a misnomer. It's not about it's women will always say, no, I have standards. There's no point. There's no arguing. Okay, there's no need for me to prove to you what you already know. The only way out, and most men figure this out, is to not play their game. As soon as a woman starts playing games, you pull out the PlayStation, and I've seen this. I've seen TikTok videos. Men are telling you, "Oh, walk away. Don't engage. Don't live with them. Don't." Right? Even if you are going to have a relationship with a woman, don't live with her. Make her reciprocate each and every day, and if she doesn't, it's over. Have standards, men. Be kings. You are the prize. You're the provider. Okay, what does she bring? Even if she gets a job, she's not that productive. The more she works externally, the less she works internally. The whole problem with society is the endless pursuit of money, and and as the middle class rises, the government will siphon it. Will always keep us down, because the whole system will collapse if people stop working. I'm not talking about wealth. I'm just talking about the enormous cost, because the engineers, the doctors, the scientists, none of them work for average money. They all want, until we go back to the 50s, go back to a time where going to the doctors cost you nearly nothing. And doctors and journalists were just working class people as well. That the majority of journalists, the majority of even actors, were all working class. They went to the studio, did their job, went home. They didn't have these huge parties. They didn't have these huge grandiose concerts. Rock stars didn't exist, right? You didn't pay thousands of dollars. You paid, the cost of a movie ticket was less than $1. Till we go back to those days. The irony was, someone who could write a book and earn a few $1,000s could thrive. Whereas today, most people just look at it and go, I worked years on this book and I only made $100. The video ads, all the ads, I tune out most ads. I know most people do because they sell you a false lifestyle. I'm just trying to entertain you without and inform you without, keep you, be a little brightness in what is otherwise a dull and miserable world. Because even if you lived in paradise, after a while, you get so used to it. And that's another problem. Never get used to the relationship because it just rip your heart out. Just rips your heart out. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate your kings. Come on down. Support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you could just hit that like button, please. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.